Gautam Bhimani, come on. Gautam is a superb, quirky, funky kind of broadcaster. He brings something a little bit different to the broadcasting game, and I like that. Gautam, obviously, my whole world has become cricket very recently. Those know that, now we're working with the Bharat Army and we're covering all the games and the matches. So I've been watching a lot of Gautam's work, and I think he's a fun guy. He's a fun, quirky guy. He comes from an interesting background, and he's got a great story to tell. About his approach to life and his mindset, I suppose, in it all. I really like what he had to say. I think you will too, because he talks a lot about, well, I won't give too much away, but he talks a lot about kind of the approach to life and the approach to the game and the way in which he sees things. And he's quite tough on it as well. Let me know what you think. Put up your comments on social media. Share this episode with your friends. It's a good one. This is the Tommy Sandhu podcast with Gautam Bhimani. Yay! There we go. Welcome to GB, Mr. GB. It's Great Britain with Gautam Bhimani. There you go. That maybe our nation was named after you, GB. That's what it is. Are you the founder of this land?
I'd love to be. My car here, actually, every single one of my vehicles has the GB sticker on it for obvious reasons. Even though it's not regulation in this part of the world. And every time I would go to London, the only thing I would ask for, apart from my usual nonsense, would be please pick up GB stickers. And for the longest time, my parents couldn't find them because they were not always in souvenir shops. Then finally, one of our friends cracked it and they said, you actually got to go to AA and say you really need a proper one for your car. Right. So they picked up a few for that and brought it back with me, not from the souvenir shop.
I don't understand. So what's the obsession? Why because people have fun bumper stickers. You'll have little phrases. Hey, if you can read this sign, then you're too close. Back off, buddy, and all that. But you want GB?
It must be narcissism, but I just love my initials.
Oh, okay, right, fine. That's right. He's got to have it. How are you? Are you well? Are you okay? Are you surviving? Is everybody around you okay? Let's get the basics done first.
Absolutely. I mean, I've just come back from a month and a half in the Caribbean, so couldn't be better. It was literally the first, not just this year, 2020, the first sporting event that sort of emerged out of the shadows of COVID was the CPL of 2020, and then everybody else followed suit, and just to see if it's actually possible. And we did it again this year with precautions, but things are working.
Where were you staying in the Caribbean? What island, or were you hopping?
No. Because of COVID, we missed one venue in St. Kitts, which was good because it's everyone's favorite venue. Because while we love the more crowded islands like Trinidad and Tobago and places like Guyana, even Jamaica, it's not quite as idyllic and the Caribbean as we know it. As a St. Kitts and St. Lucia and Bermuda are.
How did you adjust to that island life? Because there's a certain vibe about the Caribbean. Everybody in the Caribbean feels like they're connected to their land. Do you know what I mean? They are Caribbean. There's a laid backness. There's a warmth. There's a welcome. There's a love of life. Did you slot into Caribbean? That's a long time to be in St. Kitts.
Oh, I could stay another 2 months. I wouldn't mind. I mean, it's almost the way of life that for me, I'm a beach bum. So just give me the GB sticker, a beach, and lots of seafood. I'll be fine for the rest of the year. So for me, it was not. I'm not bothered about the 35 degrees. I'm not bothered about getting a tan, which I apparently have. I didn't notice. Other people did, but that's fine.
So have you got beige bits? Because we're brown, but parts of us are beige. So underneath my watch, I'm beige, but the rest of me is brown. I don't need to see all your bits, Gautam. But
just the watch as you did, yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't know what you were going to show me. I was like, wow. All of a sudden, we've all seen Gautam Bhimani's thong lines, and I'm like, no, I didn't expect that to happen in the podcast so quickly. But you've always loved your travel. You've always loved jetting about.
Yeah, it's been something that I've sort of grown up with. Somebody put up, one of those typical Facebooky things where they ask you, where did you travel on your first flight ever and how old were you? So I was like, I didn't really want to enter it, but it ended up being Mumbai at the age of 5. So I was just popped on a plane alone as an unaccompanied minor. In those days, it wasn't even so formally well organized. But my grandparents lived in Mumbai. We were in Calcutta, and they liked to spend time. And it wasn't the kind of era when you jetted to another place for a weekend. It's a trip you had to plan. So I would go there for 2 months, spend the summer with them. But it meant that, I mean, why should my parents have to come and drop me if I can survive on my own? So 5-year-old popped onto a plane, picked up at the other end, all good.
Hold a minute. Got a little bit of a risk. I wouldn't send I've got a 4-year-old, 4.5, nearly 5-year-old. I wouldn't send him to the end of the road. I think it says a lot about how little your parents probably loved you, Gautam. I think it's like, let's roll the dice with this one and see what happens.
Well, I'll tell you what, at the age of 14, and this is the one that gets a lot of people, I mean, they can still imagine a single domestic flight as an unaccompanied minor where you're being taken care of by the staff and picked up at the other end. But I was sent on a 19-day trip to Europe on my own at the age of 14. Just thrown in the deep end. You want to go to Europe? Yes. Have a look at this brochure. Fine. Look through it. This is lovely. Rome, Paris, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Liechtenstein, Brussels, lots of fun places. Okay, off you go. We'll catch up with you in London at the end of your trip.
But based on what? What was their thinking? Because obviously, again, we're going back, when you were 14, so we're going back at least 10 years, right? At least.
Thank you. Love that. Absolutely. Right. Yeah, that's what we tell everyone.
But what was it a lesson in independence, or because I'm now seeing a pattern? If I was social services in GB, I'd be like, listen, at 5-year-olds they sent him to Mumbai. At 14 they're sending him to a different continent. Like, what was their thinking behind it?
Yeah, I mean, in case it's going to affect my future travel to England, please edit this part out. If it's not, I'll come again. But they don't really, bother about such things here. I mean, I remember going to the US the first time on holiday and being told that since I was under 16, technically my mom shouldn't even be going out for dinner and leaving me alone in the house without a babysitter. So we were told, what, really? Is that stuff like that happens? Because we obviously have help at home in India who are always there. We take it for granted. So you get used to the rules and regulations. But this was just about my love for travel and the fact that my mom didn't really want to mollycoddle me and come along with me. I mean, I travel every year with my dad to watch cricket. That was fine. But this was that one gap here when we were going to watch cricket, but it was the second half of the summer. It was Ashes summer. And we said, okay, you go and spend 15 days, enjoy Europe. We'll catch up in England. Then we'll go and watch 3 weeks of cricket. So it was fine. It was again, formal in the sense that I was dropped by my aunt and uncle to Victoria Coach Station, where I boarded a Cosmos coach.
Yeah.
And the same coach went all around Europe and dropped me back at Victoria Coach Station 19 days later.
Wow. And I'm sure, when you look back at it now, and again, we do things for our kids all the time. We're trying to encourage them to become more independent. I think that's probably made you the guy you are. It's probably made you wanting to see the world in the way that you do and travel and be more independent, be more stronger in your mind. Has it made a difference, do you think?
Big time. I was happy to do it because I was, being an only child, I always had issues with sharing. So, I was never too comfortable if I was told that, okay, you and a couple of friends go land up at this place, you'll all be sharing a room. I'm like, I'm okay on my own. If I meet them outside for dinner, lunch, sightseeing, it's fine, but they shouldn't be hanging on to me. So that way, I was absolutely okay to be on my own, single room. The tour guide, the Russian guy, was looking after me very well. But yeah, I think it helped big time.
What are you like then? What you like with Mrs. Bhimani when she wants one of your French fries? Do you share that? If she goes, oh, can I share? How are you with food? Or are you like, nope, this is mine. You get yours. I'm not about the sharing.
The good thing is she's turned vegetarian, and I'm a hardcore carnivore. I don't eat vegetables. They're banned.
Right.
So
okay.
If it happens to be on my plate, the delineation is clear. She can have the veggies, and I can have the meat. She doesn't want the meat anyway. I don't want the veggies, so there's no problem there.
Okay, fine. It worked. You see, so when people are looking for that perfect relationship, where they're looking for that, where does that harmony, where does that yin-yang balance lie? You're going to go, it lies in meat and veg. That's how it works in the Bhimani household.
Yeah, my parents were like that. My dad was a fully hardcore vegetarian from Gujarat, from the western part of India. My
Yeah.
mom's a Bengali, so she was. That's where I get my carnivorous side from. So that was again a perfect union. They never had a problem getting along.
In the nicest possible way, Gautam, there is nothing about your physical stature that says you are carnivorous in your way. Like you know, you look lean. You look. Oh, I would have imagined this is a vegan. This is that guy because you know. So what's the regime like for the Bhimani? How do we get the Bhimani body? If we're pitching this as a Christmas DVD, get yourself in shape for 2022 with Gautam Bhimani. What is the routine about?
Well, I can tell you the last person who asked me that was about 2.5 weeks ago, a guy called Kenna Lewis.
Right.
And you can look him up online. He looks like a bouncer from a Leicester Square nightclub.
Yeah.
I mean, he's huge. He walks around like that. You know, they've got a particular body type. It's not just that they're big built. They've got this
They got the
meanness
neck.
about them.
They got the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big fat neck.
Don't mess with us kind of thing. So Kenna Lewis is a Jamaican batsman, hits the ball hard. I don't know why he's not made it to the West Indies team for the T20 World Cup. Lucky for the other teams. And he's a big guy, and yet he's very soft-spoken. So every time I'd come to him, I'd say, mate, don't mess with me. Just look at these guns. And he had a great sense of humor. He'd say, come along, tell me the secret of how you stay so lean. Because while I've got these, I wouldn't mind keeping them toned and trim.
Yeah.
And we even took a picture together with our, muscles side by side. I'll send you that picture.
Yeah.
You can overlay it on this if you're
Thank
doing
you,
if you're
man.
adding bits and
There he
bobs.
goes. Okay.
But yeah, I think the
what
secret
is
is
the key?
metabolism.
Right.
When I studied in the States for 4 years, and they're so rigid about everything. They're so structured in their ways. So when I spoke to someone about diet and nutrition, they said, "Oh, take a class. You can find out more." So I did. I took a class, and I literally entered my diet every single week. Part of it was getting an extra credit, but part of it was to find out, can I actually put on weight? And they said, your metabolism is so high, unless you eat twice the amount that your stomach can actually take with your body structure, you won't put on weight. So while I eat a lot, I cannot eat 120% of my capacity, which I would need to eat to actually put on weight. So I'm happy with my weight. I'm healthy.
Yeah. And inside inside your metabolism, it must be like a furnace. It's just burning away, like aggressively breaking down the meat, just burning it all away.
That's probably it.
And you're going to need it because blooming heck, things are busy. There's so much on. How's your work schedule? Everybody in cricket is slammed right now. How are you with it all?
Well, I can tell you, people who knew I was away for a month and a bit in the Caribbean thought I was on an extended holiday, and I had to convince them that I wasn't. While yes, of course, I'm in St. Kitts. It's beautiful. I do post pictures from the pool, from the beach. I am sort of sitting there and sunning, but for the majority of the time, we start at 6 o'clock in the morning and we come back at midnight on working days. So it's full day, and the schedule continues. Like after this, when the IPL finishes, I'm off to the World T20 in Dubai. When that finishes, if all goes well, I should have a 3-day gap, and the T10 starts in Abu Dhabi. And then, of course, there's the Under-19 World Cup, there's the Women's World Cup, and the IPL all over again.
So, but because you've got to get yourself sort of mentally prepared for that. I mean, we talk about burnout for the players. It's burnout for everybody involved. And I mean coaches, I mean, physios and people even like yourself in broadcasting, cameramen, sound guys. All these people are decamping Abu Dhabi. They're back over there. They said it's the Caribbean. We're now being told, as you know, to be more aware of our mental health. Are you okay with the workload? Do you need to step down? Do you need to do a Virat Kohli and step down from some of your responsibilities, Gautam?
I'm fine. I mean, actually, I know I've read a lot about some of the players who are having to take a step, and Stokes is taking a bit of a breather from cricket. But honestly, I'm at a stage when I can manage my own workload. I used to work with a channel for 17 years. Now I'm freelance, so it has its challenges because you have to chase work. But chasing work also means you can pick and choose. You don't have to take everything. You're not forced to go everywhere. So I know I'm happy to do it. I love work, even though it's crazy work days. I'd much rather be doing that than be sitting. I actually get more tired doing nothing. If I sit all day doing nothing, I'd really feel fatigued. It sounds
Yeah.
strange, but it's true.
No,
So I have no problem. I have no problem with living in a bubble while it lasts, because you're generally looked after. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, bubble life, you can't go here, you can't go there." I don't mind if I don't go clubbing, as long as I have in the West Indies a beach, or in some other places a comfortable hotel room. I'm going to the cricket ground, which by definition is a lovely place to be. So I'm not really stressed that I can't go to a mall or to a nightclub, and therefore I'm breaking the bubble. I'm fine.
what about time away from the other half and things like that? I know, and are the children? What have you got in the way of family setup? Who's there in the Bhimani house?
Well, my son is literally going to turn 19 in 9 hours' time.
Wow! Congratulations! His last year as a teenager.
Yes.
You will no longer have a teenage son. In a year's time. That's a big moment. So
yeah, I've that's my wallet, which I've kept very close to me because he's just been planning his birthday party. So I need to hang on to it.
to
They're
pay for
expensive.
stuff, right?
Oh.
What does 19-year-old Junior Bhimani want? What's he into?
Well, he's a little bit of everything. He started out with a love for music. He was producing music in his bedroom. He had a full studio setup, rap music. So he writes the lyrics, raps himself, does the music, arranges it, and puts it out there. But that he considered doing it professionally. Then he's sort of taken a backward step, and he's joined acting school at the moment. So let's see how it goes. So I'm letting him dabble in everything for now.
Where does he get all that music? Well, where does he get his musical love from? Is that you or is that mum?
Well, no, it's pretty much anything to do with being a performer or being an extrovert is all me. But honestly, the musical part was completely him. I mean, I love music. I used to be a DJ myself and an RJ, but that was not what I passed on to him. He can't even stand listening to the 80s and 90s music that I do. So he's imbibed his own style of music, hip hop, rap. He picks it up. He writes the lyrics. Much of it cannot be played out in public. In fact, when he was in school, his school teachers really wanted everyone in school to share activities outside school. So we used to have these parent-teacher meetings, and they'd go, so Rag, that's his name. What have you done outside school? So he said, "Ma'am, I've produced some music. Can we have a listen? We'll play it at assembly." I wouldn't quite advise that. So they were sent an MP3 version of the song, and they realized why it can't be played in assembly.
Yeah, they're like, what? By the way, is it in Hindi? Is it in English? Does he rap?
No, English. It's all English. All English.
And so he's swearing, right? And
throughout.
Huh? All throughout. I love it. That's my boy. You sound almost proud. Honestly, his vocabulary of swear words, Tommy, it makes me proud. I mean, what kind of dad? Because obviously you're a young, cool dad. You're a dad on the telly. You're a dad that does cricket commentary. So, you're not your typical stern Indian father here, talking away. What's it like? Your boy swearing away? I mean, and no need to say anything.
No, I mean, I let him be, because that's the generation it is. I'd sound too old if I tried to understand that. I played some of his tunes for the guys in the Caribbean who love their music, and even somebody as beefy and manly as Andre Russell was the first thing he heard it. He said, "Can I send him a little video?" So he sent a little video last year, this time, wishing him happy birthday, but also telling him, "Go easy on those lyrics, man." So it was.
I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Gautam, to have Andre Russell give you some feedback on your music. But this is my point. So obviously, you love your family. I can clearly see that you're close with your boy. But then when you're away so much, I mean, I find it really hard. You just want to see him, just want to hold him for a bit. Or because you've been raised so independent and so solitary, are you okay? You're like, no, I'm all right. We're all right.
Yeah, I think we're fine. You get used to it. There are times when you're sort of getting in each other's face, and you just tell yourself, look, it's space that some people have to actually create for themselves. You said, let's get a bit of space, and you kind of go off on a boys' holiday or a girls' holiday or whatever. Here it's happening naturally, and the schedule's not as crazy as it seems. I know we've had a year and a half of lockdown, and we've had I go away for the CPL, come back. The IPL is out of home. So literally, if I mention a month and a half of the IPL, I'm working right from exactly where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
3 hours after this, I'm doing a pre-show for CrickBuzz. I'll be on sitting at this very location. So I'm at home. I literally finished. This is my office. Until I go to Dubai for the World T20, I'm doing it out of home. And even that I could have done out of home, but I've picked up a little venture to take some people on a tour group to watch the matches. So that's a new venture for me.
Sorry, I've now got this vision of Gautam in his little minibus picking up a load of aunties saying, yeah, I'll take you all to show you some cricket. What is this? The Gautam fun bus? Is this another business?
I wish. I'm now you've given me an idea that I'll pick them up in a fun bus. Well, it was just basically, I'll tell you where it started from. Having covered cricket in a conventional way with the commentary and everything, I've always done sidelights ever since I started it. For the last 19 years. And that became my identity, because people would watch a test match, but at lunch they would watch a 3-minute capsule, me taking them around the city where the match is being played, be it London, be it Sydney, be it Jamaica, anywhere. So that kind of became part of my identity. I wrote a book about that, all my snippets, anecdotes, it's in a book. Part 2 of the book will come out soon. But what I also realized is people in India like to go and watch cricket. Now, anyone does, but they're not quite as organized as, say, in England. If you want to go to the Caribbean next summer, you just pick up a phone, call Gulliver's Travels, and say, listen, I want to just join the Barmy Army. We've got packages for you for 2 test matches, 3 test matches, inclusive of this, cruise thrown in, this, that, and the other. You'll have Gladstone Small and Mike Gatting accompanying you. Fabulous. It's all taken care of. Australia do the same thing with Mark Waugh and Merv Hughes. So everyone's doing it. India are not doing it. Because what they found was that cricketers, if they're big enough a name, they're either in commentary or media, or, they're not going to just stoop down to going and watching cricket in the stands. You can't imagine a Tendulkar or a Dravid or any of these guys anywhere in the world sitting in a stand with a bunch of 20 people and not being mobbed by so many others.
Yeah.
So because of that, I said, look, I could step into that void. I mean, yes, we might have a breakfast where we'll invite an ex-cricketer to come and join me and talk to them. But essentially, I'd be the host. And that sort of evolved into my first attempt at it for this World Cup. Let's see how it works.
Ah, man, look at that. How brilliant, though, that you're still trying out kind of new ventures to your game. It feels like you're just having fun. You're playing with all the things you love. And I think you can tell with your nature. You've always been a fun-loving guy. Everything about you says, you don't want to follow the norm. You want to do things a bit quirky. You want to do things different. You want to there's always a cheeky smile behind. Even now with your straight face, there you go. You're like, Gautam Bhimani is a split second away from grinning, smiling, laughing, making a joke. And it's so nice that you're applying that sense of fun to the things that you love and things that make money, or things that are work.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, it's new. I have no idea how it's going to work. I have no business sense whatsoever. I mean, I should have done this 5 years ago. Lots of people came and said, listen, start a company, start a business. I'm like, I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
Somebody else can do it for me. I'll provide the ideas. I'll provide myself to come and host and front it. But I have no business sense whatsoever. I mean, that's why I hang on to the wallet. I can't even manage that. But so I got together with a couple of people. One's a hardcore businessman. One is a travel agent, both of whom wanted to get into it but didn't know how to take the next step. I said, no problem. I'll make a few phone calls. We'll figure out where we can source the tickets from. They're sorting out the hotels and the flights. We've got tickets sorted. Word of mouth and social media is good enough to get 100 people on board within half an hour in India. So now we actually have a problem of plenty. We have more people wanting to go than the amount of tickets we have. So
look, see, that's brilliant. It just shows you give something a go. Just got to give it a go and see what happens. And there's a freeness. You talk about this, even with cricket players, to play freely, play your game. It feels like you're playing your game. You're like, this is what I love. This is what I enjoy. Let's bring in the expertise of the people around me and try it. Well, good on you. Good on you. I've just actually, while I'm on the phone, this is just broken. News has just come out right now. So I want to get this fresh reaction. England all-rounder Moeen Ali retires from Test cricket.
I heard that an hour ago. Yeah.
It's right. Fresh news. Taza,
Yes.
off the cover, straight. We're serving him up hot, fluffy. What do you reckon? Why is he doing that?
Well, ironically, we were just talking about it yesterday with no context of him retiring or potentially retiring, but we were looking at people who are treated differently by their national team and by their franchise teams. And for some reason, Moeen Ali, at least in our opinion in India, did not get the kind of regard he should have got in the England team. He's a super talented guy. He should have been the one batting at number 3. Forget Test cricket, at least in the T20 setup for England, who've got such a good white ball side. But just the way he's playing for, say, Chennai right now, I mean, he's an alien. He shouldn't be part of that setup. But here he is. MS Dhoni has welcomed him in there, slots him in at number 3. He bowls, he fields, he's part of that family. And there was a feeling that maybe he doesn't quite get that feeling in the English dressing room, which he should. It could possibly be that. We are just theorizing, but that could be one reason why, because he has contributed to Test cricket. He bats really well at number 6 or 7. He gives you enough overs, so you've got a spinning all-rounder and a safe fielder. So there's no reason not to have him in that setup.
Isn't that quite sad then, to step down for that reason? That's that doesn't
assuming
feel like...
it is. Assuming it's that reason. It could be workload management. We can only speculate. You were just talking about it earlier, where people are feeling that, look, if I have enough gigs in franchise cricket, and the world is moving more and more towards that the 50-over game, if anything, is under threat. You'll have Test cricket, which is the traditional form of the game, and you'll have the entertaining side of the game, which essentially is T20, maybe even T10. What comes in between is like, I don't mind spending 3 hours or 5 days if I'm a purist, but to spend a whole day watching a 100-over game, that can be tedious for a new cricket viewer. So maybe it's just him saying, let me make this into something more professional. Let me play franchise cricket, play the 100, which he's obviously very good at. And, I think that may have been a catalyst for that.
What are your thoughts on the 100? Do you like the 100?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see enough because I was over in the Caribbean, but heard lots about it from people like Carlos Brathwaite, who did some commentary there and came after that, as well as a few of the players like Tim David, who's one of the big shining lights, a Singaporean, Australian, played in England, came to the West Indies, proper journeyman cricketer. But yeah, they love it. My only reservation initially was trying to recalculate everything, where you've had a 20-over game, where everything is conditioned with overs. So you've got 5 overs to go and 50 runs to win. Perfect. I can figure that out. Yeah. But if you tell me there's 50 runs to win in 30 balls, that's still okay. But 150 runs to win of 127 balls, now that's getting a bit complicated for me.
Yeah, right.
So while in traditional 50-over and T20 cricket, we break down targets towards the end. So when there's 10 balls to go, we'll tell you runs and balls. But at the start of the innings, we'll never tell you runs and balls. It's 200 to win in 50 overs, 140 to win in 40 overs.
Yeah.
So that is where the sort of numerical changes are coming in. But I think more than forget those kind of things, just the way they've packaged it, they've added the women's game to it. I think the biggest plus of the 100 has been what it's done for women's cricket, more than men's cricket.
And it's exciting at the moment. There's so much happening in women's cricket. We're seeing some real superstars coming through. This is a silly question probably to ask you, but is there too much cricket? Can there be too much cricket on right now? Because it's almost like,
there is too much cricket, far too much cricket. I mean, that's the reason why we don't appreciate what little is going on. I mean, I go back to the time when I look forward to waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch a test match in Australia. It was just, I mean, you set the alarm, you just had to get up, winter morning in India, and it was something you look forward to. Now it's on the whole year round, and you don't appreciate it enough. I'm not complaining because it gives me more work, but the frank answer to it is there is far too much cricket.
So if it was to take a break, if cricket was to stop and you go, right, Gautam, go do something else. You need to take a break. We're all taking a break. The world has decided there's been an international intervention to stop the playing of cricket because we've had an overload. What does Gautam do with his time? And you're not allowed to just go. You're not allowed to go back to the Caribbean, and you can't just sit on the beach all day. What would you do?
Well, even if it's not the Caribbean, I do have plans to do a global travel show.
Awesome.
So even if you ban me from the Caribbean for the first year, I will find other places to go, and definitely want to go and see parts of the world that I haven't seen. But if it comes to saying that there's no cricket, I still have enough passion for other sports that I would like to work on properly. Number 2 being tennis, number 3 being Formula 1. So if somebody came to me right now, walked through that door and said, listen, we're offering you a job on the ATP tour for the next 6 months, I would call up CricBuzz and say, guys, I'm on for the next 10 days. After that, count me out.
Wow.
So I love tennis. I mean, I've been 9 times to Wimbledon. There's no greater experience. I've done 1 Wimbledon as a commentator with Vijay Amritraj and Alan Wilkins. It's the greatest sporting experience of my life, despite all the cricket I've done. I've covered 3 cricket World Cups, soccer cricket World Cups, and been to 3 Formula 1 races, but never worked on it. So again,
dare I say this, Gautam? It sounds like you probably love cricket a bit more. I mean, you can listen to you, or is it because it's a novelty? I suppose, because you're not working on it daily. That feels more exciting.
It's probably, to be frank, it's that, because cricket is an overdose. It's become more like a job. This can be less like a job. But even then, sport-wise, if I had to really sit and watch a World Cup cricket final, a World Cup soccer final, a Wimbledon final, or the greatest F1 race of the year, I would probably pick a Wimbledon final.
Wow. So where are you? Where do you just want to know? It's nice to grab your opinion now on Emma Raducanu. What do you see when you see this young star?
Legend. I mean, it's so heartwarming. She was adopted by the whole world. I mean, never mind people saying, is she British? Is she Romanian? Is she Greek? Is she Canadian? Where is she from? But the fact is, it doesn't matter. She's a citizen of the world. She can have Team GB stamped on her. That's fabulous. She can have GB on the back of her car sticker like me.
She can. Yeah, I know someone who can get her a sticker. Don't worry.
There you go. But I think it's fabulous for tennis. I mean, the very fact that you had the men's final of the US Open being played by world numbers 1 and 2, and the women's being played by 1 qualifier and 1 unseeded player was fabulous. I think that's what the game needs. The women's game was kind of stagnating post the Williams sisters. They were not finding an ambassador for the game, a true star. And I think they found one. Osaka came close, but I think she is the real deal.
Yeah. I was on a news channel over the weekend, and they were debating whether, because she's dropped her coach, she's going to drop her original coach, and she's going to switch because they're saying her game's entered a new phase now, and they're going, oh, is this ruthless Emma? This is what it takes to be an athlete? What's going on there? Dropping her coach. Someone's just taken her to these amazing heights. Is that a point that an athlete should drop?
It's going to happen. Someone who's a teenage prodigy, it happens in all sports. You probably have a coach it could be your father. It could be your next door neighbor. I mean, you've grown up in very rustic surrounds, and somebody's taken you up and molded you as an amateur into a professional. And then you realize that you need to be managed professionally. So it's nothing against the person who's taken you that far, but you need someone at a different level. So it could be either man management or woman management. But that is what probably is the reason for taking them to the next level. I mean, if someone at the world number 1 can change their coach, there's nothing wrong with her doing it either.
Isn't it amazing? I think again, from interviews and stuff only, she's keeping her head. She's cool with it. Even everything from the 1.8 million that she won or whatever it was, she said, yeah, my mum and dad will deal with that. It's like she's really taken it in her stride. And that head game is so important for athletes, for any sports performer on any level.
It's the only thing that's important. We talk about young players. The IPL is a big example. I mean, it's a money spinner. You have the IPL auction, and there's a guy who has a father who drives a tuk-tuk
Yeah.
or is a construction worker, and suddenly he gets a huge payday in the auction, even before he's bowled a ball or hit a ball. Irrespective of his performance, he gets that paycheck. And unless somebody steps in and manages that for him, manages his expectations, what to do with it, it it's something that takes a lot of doing. The Pandya brothers, Hardik Pandya, Krunal Pandya, big examples in India. Again, very limited background. Suddenly they've been catapulted into being multimillionaires. Obviously, they get their parents' houses. They themselves build themselves this huge house. But it's dealing with the fame and the tattoos and the changes in hair color and all those things that come with it. And at the end of the day, you've got to be grounded because you have to keep playing that sport to keep that going.
And there's a discipline and a work ethic that still goes with all the distractions that come with money and the lifestyle and everything else. Well, talking about the team though, how are the India squad ahead of T20, ahead of this the World Cup? What do you reckon? Are we in good shape?
Favorites, not a doubt. And I'm not one of those. Honestly, I've spent 20 years working on cricket. Not once have I got emotionally involved with the team. A lot of my colleagues have. They're sitting there, and at the end of the day, if India 150 all out and Australia 110 for no loss, they'd have a bad day. I'd be like, what's the difference? We're not playing. We're covering the game. We have to cover it with the same aplomb, whether we're losing or winning. Doesn't change our performance. And yet their shoulders drop. So I've never emotionally involved myself, but purely from a rational point of view, they just are playing their best cricket. There are a few worrying signs because some of the key players we've chosen are completely out of form in the IPL because they had to have a deadline for picking the teams.
Yeah. So the time is up. Sorry, I'm just wondering about your point there because you said like you don't feel that same emotional attachment, which is interesting because that's a very kind of broadcasting kind of line to take. Like I'm here, I'm a reporter. I will remain impartial and I am professional. But I wonder whether that's because you were sent off traveling from a young age. Like, and you said about Emma, you said global citizen. Have you got an approach to life that we're of the world? We're not Indian. There is no English. There is no, that we. I don't know. Where are you coming from like that? Because there's a couple of things you've said like that.
Well, maybe not quite to that extreme. I would still get goosebumps if I hear my national anthem, but I would not get overly despondent if our team doesn't win. Yes, I would get angry if, when people celebrate, say, after the Olympics, we did really well by in terms of comparative standards.
Yeah, of course.
Compared to what we did last year or last Olympics or before that. But it's still not reason to celebrate, in my opinion, because we, unfortunately, in India, one of the things we do wrong, and when it comes to sport, is we celebrate mediocrity. Not in cricket so much because we've got used to winning, but for all the others, we get a bronze medal and we're like, wow. Rather than saying, hang on, kind of pat on the back for bronze, but why wasn't it gold or silver? The old classic Nike line, you don't win silver, you lose gold. Simple as that. We don't believe in that. We are happy with the bronze. We're happy with the silver. This time around, the javelin thrower, Neeraj Chopra got us a gold, which was fantastic to celebrate. But the whole idea is, how can we do better? We should be only aiming for that gold and nothing below that. And that's something, when we get that culture to that level, that's what will change. We've got enough people. We've got enough money. We've got enough infrastructure. People can't complain anymore that it's not there.
Wow, it's time. There you go. Time to step up. Okay, onto the World Cup as we look forward to cricket this year. Kohli's last cup as captain, as we've seen, he's declared so much. This IPL is going to be his last in charge of RCB. What's going on? Is that a workload thing? Because we're all debating here, going, oh, it's workload. Oh, he's a brand now, and then I compare him to like people like Beckham or George Best or Pele. His name's going to go down in history. Is it all too much? Is he right? Is he calling it early? As before he gets other mental health issues or things like that. Your take on that, please, Gautam.
To be honest, if you think of all those names you've mentioned,
yeah,
all of them were performers. Do you remember any of them as being captains of their respective sides?
No.
Whoever you talk about, football, any sport, they were performers. Now, here there is a little more importance attached to captaincy. On a football field, the captain doesn't matter. Somebody just wears the damn armband. It's the manager or the coach who's doing calling all the shots.
Yeah.
But yet there is somebody who's a captain. But you don't remember him for captain. You don't even know, did Beckham actually captain his side? Yeah, probably did a few times.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But it's not necessarily the best player. It's just somebody who's been a solid part of it, who's a football captain. In cricket, yes, it matters a little bit more, especially when you're fielding, you take a few more decisions. But when you're out there batting, you ask any great batsman, you ask a Virat Kohli, when he's out there batting, he's not the captain, he's a batsman, right? He doesn't have to take any calls. If he had to talk about the batting order, it's already done, decided in the dressing room. Maybe sometimes if he wants a change in the batting order, he'll signal to somebody. But the only time he's really worried about that is when he's setting fields, when he's walking out for the interview to the toss, stuff like that. So those are added responsibilities that don't necessarily embellish your actual performance with bat in hand. So, yeah, he's giving that part up because he wants to focus on his batting. I don't think there's any big deal, be it for RCB or for India.
Is that just us then making a big deal? Do we just all need to lay off the guy? Is it just kind of chill out? He's focusing on his game. Bus. End of discussion.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few. I mean, obviously, it's not that he's had a great time at RCB. It's a void that he would never manage to fill in terms of them winning a trophy. They've still got a good chance to do it this year. I had a gut feel at the start of the tournament it was going to be their year, and I'm going to still stick my neck out saying that it could be their tournament this time. But the fact is, forget the captaincy. If Kohli turns around and say, I'm taking a break for a year from cricket, get worried. He's not doing that.
Okay. Yeah. No need to panic, everybody. Bhimani says, calm down. It's okay. Everything's going to be all right.
It's the same Kohli. It's the same Kohli who's going to walk out to bat. In fact, he's going to have monkey off shoulder, baggage off shoulder, probably get that 100 that there's been a drought of the minute this series finishes.
This Kohli will be like you in the fun bus. It's just relaxed. You know, you got the auntie on the back, the peplers are being passed out, or whatever food's being given out in the back of the bus. There you go. We want to set Kohli free like that. Let me wrap up the podcast then with this. And any advice, because we get a lot of youngsters. You're going to have people here in the UK, around the world, listening to this, watching this. What do you tell a 10-year-old cricketer, you know, on their journey right now? Gautam Bhimani, you have the insight. You've met all the stars. What's the advice?
Well, I think the biggest advice is not to get despondent if you're expecting cricket to become a career and it doesn't take off, because the beauty of this game is that it takes you in many different directions. I loved the game from the time I was 6, watched my first test match at the age of 6, which, Tommy, as you said, was about 10, 15 years ago. But I quickly realized I was never going to be an athlete. I loved the game enough. I had enough opportunities. My dad was a commentator. I had the likes of Imran Khan coming home for dinner when I was 8 years old. So I had any possible chance to walk up to any of these cricketers and say, listen, I'm going to play cricket for India. Coach me. Just get me the best coaching possible. No money issues, no access issues.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I realized that athletics, I mean, I'm not built to be an athlete. But yet, how could I stay connected to the game? So years later, when I graduate from college, get the opportunity, commentary just happened. Not because I molded it that way. You can become a statistician. If you're a maths geek and you never could step onto a cricket field, you could, if you're a big beefy guy and you go to the gym every day, you could become a physio with a team. Well-paid job, you're still connected. You're in a dressing room, even if you're not playing the game. So the beauty of sport, not just cricket, is that if you still want to be connected with it, you try your hardest. You play for the school, you get to play for college, go to Oxford and Cambridge and play for them, for the Blues. But if you don't make it to the English cricket team or the Indian cricket team or whichever team sport you're playing, don't be despondent. You could still be closely associated with the sport. At worst, you could join the fun bus when everything else fails.
Exactly. We'll always need people on there. Gautam, listen, I've loved talking to you. This is great. I think there was, every time I've seen you on the Crick Buzz stuff as well, there's a real sparkle to you. There's a warmth, and it just seems like you're enjoying yourself. You know, Harsha Bogle and Michael Vaughan can be hard work. I know what they're like. They look moody and miserable. They're old men. We know that. You're there bringing the youth, the vibrancy. I'm kidding, of course. I love those guys. But, you know, it's just nice. It's a lovely dynamic. I love seeing you do what you do. And please just keep enjoying it and keep that cheeky smile. It's lovely to see. Gautam, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Love being here. And I must say, I didn't mention it earlier. Love you. I know you commented on my background.
Your background.
I love yours. I really do. It's got a little depth, three paintings that really talk a lot. If I could swap, I'd absolutely love that. I'm a little.
Yours is like a
just wallpaper.
No, it's a New York setting, isn't it? Because I can see the yellow. Right. One New York.
It is. Well, because they didn't have a London wallpaper. That's my favorite city in the whole wide world. But unfortunately, they didn't have one. This one looked cool, so I've got it. It's actually portable, so I'm going to try and see if I can slide some new ones in. But in an ideal world, I'd love to have a table with some trophies, jerseys, paintings like you have. So I'm going to work on that before the IPL finishes to see if I can fiddle around with my backgrounds while we are still in this virtual world.
And I'm gonna find you some GB wallpaper. I'm gonna send you a few rolls of it. You can stick it up in the background as well.
Oh yeah, I've got a full collection, by the way, of Team GB merchandise. People think that I support the British team and the Olympics. I'm very happy when they succeed, but it's only because of that narcissistic side of me. Team GB hat, Team GB T-shirt, loving it.
No, we're all loving it. We're all Team GB today. Thank you very much, Gautam Bhimani.
Thanks, Tommy.
Real pleasure. Thank you. I need you to do one thing for me, and that is to subscribe to the podcast. It's free. Okay, this doesn't cost you any money. You know that. You can listen to this for free, whether you are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you're on JioSaavn, or any other streaming platform, Deezer, Castbox, TuneIn Radio, we're everywhere. If you're listening to this right now, hit subscribe. Subscribers really make a big difference to podcasters like me because it tells us who our family of podcast listeners are, where you are in the world, the kind of shows that you're listening to and the things that you like. So it really makes a big difference. If you like this, please hit subscribe and then we can keep a little tab on you and give you the good stuff that you deserve. So I really appreciate it. It means a lot to have your company. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button there and be a part of the Tommy Sandhu podcast. People, we're only just beginning. The good stuff is all coming your way daily, Monday to Friday. Go spread the word and be a part of what we do. Hit subscribe, follow us on social media, and do it right now. Thank you.